This video is to go over the format of the class. It's going over the text here, however, I'm going to give you a little bit more detail. It is a lecture and lab class, fully face-to-face. What does that mean? We have a lecture block from 9:35 until 11 o'clock. So that's a little bit under 90 minutes of lecture a week. Each lecture has a different topic: levels of organization, cells, tissue, integumentary system, which is a fancy way to say skin, and bone tissue. However, what I have found teaching face-to-face is that some lectures, tissue, are longer than others, cells. So I may actually begin the next lecture. And I do this so I don't have to rush through long lectures. Again, tissue, I'm looking at you. There are two ways to access the PowerPoints. The first, this week's module, big blue button on the main page. So I'll click on it. It takes me here. I have Tuesday, I have Thursday. I broke it up by day of the week. I think my physiology class, I actually broke it up between lecture and lab. They both seem to confuse the students equally. So here is our lecture, top right here, language of anatomy. Now this one that's indented. This is lectures from when first we are online and then we are hybrid. And I've gone back and forth between publishing it and unpublishing it. I chose to leave it up for two reasons. First, in case you're a little bit late for class or you missed class for whatever reason, you could go back and see it. You could also watch the videos again. So I clicked on the link, and these are actually really small. This was one of the early pages. So you could view different parts of the lecture. Now these PowerPoints are slightly different. I've gotten up to about lecture 12 on redoing them. So it's going to be a little bit different than what I give you in class. Now the other reason I gave you this is you have other resources, which are just videos I found online. Some are Khan Academy, some are just little other teachers I found. And the study guide. This is the study guide for just this lecture. I have questions that go along with the lecture. Then I have possible essay questions. And then I have a word bank because we're going to learn 34 regions the first class. So one of these questions is guaranteed to be on your first lecture exam. There's a third button that's not going to do much good. Follow-up activity. This is from when it's a hybrid class. This basically takes you to a little Canvas survey that's the same as the multiple choice matching questions in the lab book. This is disabled for you. So you click on it, it says resource not available. I don't plan to unlock it for you because it shows up on everybody's calendar and you think you have one more assignment that you really don't have. Now, the other way you can access the modules and the study guide are these two buttons right here. This one goes to the weekly modules. We have the first 4 modules, the second 4 modules, and I try to arrange it for each lecture exam. So if I click on week 1, you get the exact same thing. I also have study guides. So you click on the study guides, and the way I made them is it's the entire study guide. So here is that first one right here. Hold on a sec. So here's the first study guide, then the short essay questions, and the second one. And some students like this because they could just print it out, put it on your laptop. It's a Word document, and answer the questions as I go through the lecture. And you can see I have the labs on here. The labs are actually bunched together. As I explain in the syllabus information, you guys are going to be guinea pigs. Instead of large lab exams on 5 labs, you're going to have smaller quizzes on 2 labs. But this is the combined study guides. Again, it's just a composite of the individual study guides I'll talk about in a second. The second half is lab. It goes from 11:10 until roughly 2:15. We usually clean up the last 15-20 minutes. So you're going to be out by 2:15. However, since our block goes until 2:15, I request you don't have anything scheduled for 1:30, or if you do, you don't make it a daily occurrence. If you have to pick a child up early once in a while or have a doctor's appointment, that's fine. But if you're going at 1 o'clock every day, that is not okay, unless you're done with the work. If you're done with the work, I don't see a reason to keep you until 2 o'clock. So the labs are 3 hours and 5 minutes. It's mandatory because of the transfer requirements of this. Unless you're sick, please do not come if you're sick. This class was taught online for 2 years. I have online versions of every single lab. First 40 minutes, I will be talking about what we are looking at. A lot of anatomy classes will repeat the lecture and lab verbatim. As you can see, I quickly got away from that after the 3rd lab. And I like doing this because, one, it gives us more time for some labs like tissue and the skeleton. And second, you're going to forget everything if I tell you that both in lecture and lab 90 minutes later. But if you have it in class here, then you have it 2 days later or 5 days later in lab, you're going to remember it better. So the labs are not always going to be sequential to the lecture. Now again, they're 3 hours and 5 minutes long, and there'll be activities to do. And I'm going to have you upload the activities from the lab book, and there's going to be a checkout. This one is going to be a little quiz. Sometimes it's a group discussion, sometimes it's an individual thing. It's to let me know, did you understand something from lab or not, basically. Now for the upload, I usually write this on the whiteboard too, what I want you to print out for me and give me. And this is what you're going to upload. So the lab book you can get by clicking on these pretty red buttons, and I'm probably not supposed to make them red, but I ran out of colors. Older version, this is version 6.0, it's what I had on this computer. And there's a table of contents, there's what the lab activities are. And as you can see, there are forms for you to fill out, or some students on their computers just click edit and then they create their own little box right here. So it's not a locked PDF. So there's lots of ways you could fill it out, and I have instructions on how to save just the pages I need and how to upload it. So again, the labs are roughly 3 hours long. You might get done with some of them early, and you could leave when you're done. Just do the checkout and go. They're due at midnight that day, and I'll try to grade them the next day. Now, the other thing, and we're getting a picture of this, is there's going to be 12 lab quizzes. They're on the syllabus in red, and they should show up in the calendar too. And these will be at the start of lab. So if you miss lecture and come to lab late and we're already 10 minutes into the quiz, you're not going to get to do the whole quiz. So please make sure you're on time those days. So there'll be 20 questions and probably 1 extra credit question. And this, again, is an experiment. It's how we did it when we taught online anatomy. It was better to have low-stakes quizzes instead of large 100-question lecture quizzes. So you guys are guinea pigs on this, and we'll see how that works out. So all the lab quizzes should be on the calendar, and you should actually see the review due at midnight the day before. So this is actually the online version of the test that I did when we taught online. Class guides are again in the modules. So this is on individual study guide for that lab. And there's the combined study guides for all the labs together. And that was more, I ran out of time over break to split that up than 2. But I figured you have the individual one, so that's okay. I'll go over this the first day of class as well, really briefly, and please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.